Welcome to Thursday Threads, where I try to find interesting through lines in either a single thing or between multiple things. Today I've got a somewhat lengthy quote from Orwell. Let's get started. The quote reads, "Nearly all creators of utopia have resembled the man who has a toothache and therefore thinks happiness consists in not having a toothache. They wanted to produce a perfect society by an endless continuation of something that had only been valuable because it was temporary. The wider course would be to say that there are certain lines along which humanity must move, and the grand strategy is mapped out, but detailed prophecy is not our business. Whoever tries to imagine perfection simply reveals his own emptiness." I'm reminded of several things in this passage. The first is Chesterton's gate, as it relates to the line about continuation, value, temporary. The gate metaphor says, you don't tear something down until you understand why it was built in the first place. The utopians Orwell is talking about want to extend or perfect some temporary arrangement without understanding what made it valuable in the first place. The thing was good because it was temporary, because it involved some real cost or difficulty or scarcity. Chesterton's point is don't remove what you don't understand. Orwell's point is don't assume that extending what you do understand will preserve its value. Both show skepticism about the impulse to rationalize society into perfection and a humility about accepting that some friction or tension might be necessary features instead of flaws that need to be fixed. Then the grand strategy specific prophecy line reminded me of Job's interaction with God. God's questions to Job aren't asking for answers. They're teaching humility. Job has been demanding to know the why behind his suffering. God's reply is basically, you don't have access to the grand architecture. You can't see the whole design. Orwell is saying we can identify the broad lines that humanity moves along, but the detailed prophecy or plan isn't our business. God is saying that you can trust that there is a grand strategy, but the specifics, the intricacies of particular sufferings, the full blueprint of the design, isn't available for us to examine. Your business is obedience, faith, and acceptance of your limited vision. Both are a caution against assuming that because you can see some pattern or identify some injustice, that you understand enough to change or demand someone else change something in major ways. There's wisdom in drawing a line between what you can legitimately claim to know and what you can't. The quote immediately reminded me of Job, that we're given to know some things, some general, some more specific, but we aren't to expect or to think we deserve a precise map of how to navigate life. We were given free will, and that sort of precision would destroy any agency we have. It would kill something vital to humanity, the place where choice actually matters, where we have to deliberate and risk and live with uncertainty. A precision map would be kind of a benevolent tyranny. Both texts preserve human agency by withholding information. You're given enough to act, but not so much that action becomes mechanical, just going through the motions, not following a perfect set of instructions, but working through the ambiguity with integrity. Courage means something only if the outcome isn't guaranteed. Wisdom means something when you're reasoning through uncertainty. Love means something because you can choose otherwise. The utopian impulse tries to remove all that, to create conditions so perfect that the right actions or reactions become automatic. We should act with the knowledge we have and accept that there's lots more that we don't know. It may be harder than some utopia, but it's also more real. You get to keep being you instead of some cog in someone's perfectly engineered machine. In that last line about whoever tries to imagine perfection simply reveals his own emptiness, I can imagine someone upon honest reflection, that honesty part is key, saying something like, what would perfection be? The absence of its opposite, which is anything less than perfection. In effect, removing all of my less than perfect qualities, which requires identifying them. When you start compiling a list like that, it has to lead to the realization that you are not, nor will you ever be, anywhere close to perfect. That could be a difficult thing to do, to look at the chasm that exists between you and perfection. But I think that's what Orwell is getting at here. That emptiness when you try to imagine yourself as perfect. When you confront your own inadequacies. That's not failing the exercise. That is the exercise. Anyone who comes away from that feeling full of confidence, certainty, and a sense of clear-headedness has revealed something troubling about themselves. They are so full of pride, which is emptiness, that there's no room for anything else. That's an odd thought, to be so full of emptiness that there's no room for anything else. Only I think emptiness in this case is what being filled with pride actually feels like. But once you really see that the space between you and what perfection demands is infinite, once you truly grasp the ways in which you're inadequate or fall short, you can stop pretending. You can start actually living, making choices, failing, learning, being forgiven, forgiving. It's just about the opposite of the utopian thinking. Rather than trying to perfect the world or yourself through some grand redesign, you accept the incompleteness and discover what is valuable inside of it. Struggle, growth, relationship, grace, love. The emptiness Orwell describes is the emptiness of someone trying to fill an infinite hole with their own designs, as opposed to discovering that those qualities you thought defined emptiness, when embraced and used to pursue a meaningful life, are actually more akin to what defines fullness. Inadequacy is the condition that makes growth possible. Your failures, that's where you learn what matters. Vulnerability is what makes you capable of genuine connection. Mortality, the ultimate limitation, is what gives urgency and weight to the choices you make. The person trying to imagine perfection is trying to eliminate those things, seeing them as obstacles to fulfillment. But they're trying to eliminate the raw materials of meaning. They are pursuing a kind of living death where nothing could go wrong because nothing could actually happen. The person who embraces the struggle, that person is living. Life is rich. The fullness comes not from transcending the human condition, but from embracing it fully, with eyes wide open and your hands in the air. The theme through all of this, I think understanding our ignorance and embracing our humility, or the warning against denying our ignorance and embracing our pride.